right, I just got done experiencing Barbheimer. That's where you go to the movie theater and you watch the movie Barbie and then Oppenheimer back to back. I'm going to give you my thoughts on both films and, quick reviews. If you don't want the movie spoiled, now's a good time to tune out. First things first, I got to say the best part about the Barbheimer experience is comparing the last lines of both films. In Oppenheimer, we get this more sort of dialogue from Oppenheimer. He's like, we wondered if our device would destroy the world. I think it did. And then Barbie, the last line of that film is, it's Hanson, Barbara. I'm here to see my gynecologist. Okay, so we'll start with Barbie. That's because I watched that one first. And that was just a fun movie to watch. It was just back-to-back jokes. It reminded me of those Brady Bunch movies from the 90s when they were making fun of the Brady Bunch, but not in a cynical way, like they hated the Brady Bunch, but in a very loving way. They respected the old source material, but, they had a few laughs. And that's how this Barbie movie was. It's a lot of jokes about Barbie. I gotta say, when they go to the Barbie world, great attention to detail. The sets look like, like Barbie playhouses. It ain't got any walls. Everything's pink and everything is fake. And Margot Robbie does a great job as Barbie. The only complaint I would have is I didn't think, character-wise, they gave Barbie a lot to do. In this movie, you get this regular Barbie. Just about all the characters in the Barbie world are called Barbie. There's, Astronaut Barbie, President Barbie, and they're played by different actors. And Margot Robbie, she's not like a main Barbie. She's just a regular Barbie. She's called stereotypical Barbie. And it reminded me of the character from the Lego movie, how he's just a regular Lego guy, but he becomes the main character. And that's how it was with this, Barbie movie. Like I said, I wish they had given Margot Robbie a lot more to do, because she was amazing, as Barbie. There was a lot of emotional scenes, and she played it well. The show was stolen a lot by Ryan Gosling's Ken, which was kind of the point of his character, how he was just going to muscle Barbie out of the way. Story-wise, well, it was kind of interesting, because it starts out one way, where Barbie's living in her perfect Barbie world, but then all of a sudden she starts thinking about death, and her feet aren't working because they're becoming flat, like she's becoming human or something. And this freak Barbie, played by Kate McKenna, she's like, you got to go to the real world and find your owner, because however she's playing with you affects you in this world. So Barbie and Ken end up going to the real world to find her owner. And, I saw the plot twist coming as to who the owner was going to be. The irony is, that subplot does not last long. Barbie finds the owner instead of, waiting to the end of the film. And then she's, ready to go back to Barbie world and fix things. But Ken has taken a look around the real world where men run everything, and he takes that back to Barbie world. And chaos ensues as the Kens, take over. And then the rest of the film is Barbie, in a resistance group trying to change things back. So, like I said, fun movie, a lot of jokes. The only other real complaint I have is Will Ferrell and the Mattel people. Because when they go to the real world, they go to Mattel and they run into him, and then they're trying to box Barbie up because they realize the real world is causing problems in her world. She's trying to cross over, and that could create problems for the real world. Blah, blah, blah. It goes nowhere. It goes nowhere. They're unnecessary. The only thing they do is they introduce a character at Mattel who comes important at the end of the film. But aside from that, you didn't need Will Ferrell's character as a secondary antagonist. You had Ken for that. But like I said, all around, very, very funny movie. A lot of fun to watch. So go see Barbie. Moving on, we got Oppenheimer. Another good film by Christopher Nolan. Very interesting, seeing the history of Robert Oppenheimer, not just him making the bomb, but later in life, when, he's trying to, keep his job, and he's got to go before this security clearance board, and they're just tearing him a new asshole about how he used to be a communist and stuff, and they think he's a security risk. And that's kind of used as a way to tell the story of him making the bomb, because it goes back and forth. It's like he's talking about how he knew this guy or how he used to be a communist, and then you see it in flashbacks. And then there's another story that's taking place further in the future with Robert Downey Jr.'s character. His name is Louis Strauss, and he's going before a hearing, Senate hearing, to confirm him as Commerce Secretary, and he's telling the story of Robert Oppenheimer too, which, as much as I loved Robert Downey's performance and character, it felt unnecessary story-wise. It's like you could have cut that out and then just focused on Oppenheimer back in the 60s. He's basically being put on trial by these guys because they think he's a commie. And like I said, he tells them how things were back in the 1940s and when they were making the bomb. But aside from that, it's piqued my interest in, that particular point in history, because all these characters were actual people. So you want to see how accurate it was. So yeah, and like I said, it's, competently done by Christopher Nolan. One thing that was a disappointment, like I said, spoilers here, the atomic explosion. Because we kept hearing about this, how great it was going to be, you were going to feel the heat, and it's like, no, it just seemed like a regular Hollywood fireball explosion. There was nothing special about it. And don't tell Christopher Nolan, because then he'll try harder next time to make it look more real. But the one he had, it sucked ass. I don't know if I'm the only one who thought that. I did not think much of the nuclear explosion. And once again, spoiler alert, they only had one, and it wasn't blowing up Hiroshima or Nagasaki, which I guess would be a little macabre wanting to see that. It was just a test one, but I was not impressed. Aside from that, the rest of the movie's okay. I went and saw Barbie first because I didn't know if I was going to see Oppenheimer, because a lot of stuff with the Oppenheimer, the people who made the bomb, this is later in life they regret it, and I always felt that it's like a bunch of apologist crap. They're always making excuses, making themselves look good, like, oh, we just wanted to blow up the Nazis. We didn't have anything against the Japanese, but the military, oh, they just took our bomb and used it. They made the goddamn bomb. They got blood on their hands. And, I guess the way that Christopher Nolan did it, it's not like it was real sympathetic. He said, Oppenheimer, this is a guy who was always cheating on his wife. He was an asshole. And then later in life, he's kind of changed because he's like, well, you can't all keep making bombs. It was a one-time thing. It was a one-time thing to end a big war. So, yeah, I would say just go and see the movie I saw 2 years ago, which was A Beginning or an End. But, yeah, okay, it was still a good film, even though the explosion was ass. So, I forgot, let's do ratings for Barbie. I'm going to give it $24.97 out of $8.50. I should explain this. The way I rate movies is how much I pay to see them, which is usually $8.50, versus how much they are worth it. And I'm going to give it $24.97, which is the price of a movie Barbie doll. Now, as far as Oppenheimer, I'm going to take off a good 50 cents from $8.50, making it $8, because once again, that explosion was ass. And that's all I got to say.